You know what would make that better? A cup of White Cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White Cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
Here at Casella, we make temporary dumpster rental easy, offering services that are perfect for construction, remodeling, special events, or other short-term projects. Casella dumpsters are available in a wide range of sizes to fit any job. Our dedicated customer service team will help you choose the right size container and service level for your project and schedule hassle-free removal based on your specific needs. The right size dumpster, when you want it, where you want it, removed when you say so.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the cafe as White Cane Coffee presents Coffee and a Conversation. This is Brian Hackberg with you on your daily local. Got myself a fresh cup of Dragon's Roast picked up right here in the cafe. Stop on down, get yourself a fresh cup. Get one of these special laser engraved tumblers. Get it filled with your purchase. When you bring it back, get 50% off your refill as part of the White Cane Coffee Mug Club. While you're here, you can pick up maybe a Danish or cinnamon roll. Other baked goods available as well. Breakfast burritos. Great. Stop in around lunchtime. Soup and sandwiches available now at the White Cane Coffee Cafe as well. If you can't make it down to the cafe, that's not a problem. White Cane's also available on DoorDash. Just place your order, have your favorites delivered right to your door. You can also order your favorite roast to brew at home online at whitecanecoffee.com. This is Coffee and a Conversation presented by White Cane Coffee, and I'm joined this week by a special group of folks, the North PA Ghostbusters. Guys, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, we'll start over on this end.
Bill DeVilliger, one of the founding members here, lifelong Ghostbusters fan, and just absolutely excited to be part of the group.
Spencer Kushner, co-founder, lifelong fan.
Jason Hawley, I am the original founder, and not surprise anyone, lifelong fan.
I'm Justin McCracken. I've been part of this group for a long time, known these guys forever, and just love the movies and having fun.
Co-founder. Wait. Not a lifelong fan?
I am. It's at the top of my list. There are some other ones that are up there. But,
Yeah. Well, first of all, guys, thanks for taking some time to sit down with us this week. I really appreciate you coming in and giving people a chance to know kind of who you are and what you're about. And so we got a bunch of founders and co-founders sitting at the table. So I guess kind of explain a little bit what brought you all together and why you wanted to found the North PA Ghostbusters. Do you want to start this one?
Oh, well, I mean, do we want to start with a history prior to the group? Because I feel like that's significant at this point. We'll skim it.
Statute of limitations.
We'll skim it.
Yeah.
In a word, fate.
I mean,
short and simple. I like it.
Bill, I've probably known the shortest amount of time, but even at that point, it's going on 5 years now.
Yeah.
Justin, he and I have known each other since the first grade.
Yep.
Which for those of you who aren't in your late 30s yet, that's a long time. And I've known Spencer since middle school. Yeah.
That's the long and short.
Yeah. As far as the group itself goes, it's not an original idea by any means. I actually first got introduced to the idea of it back in 2016, I think it was. It was a bucket list idea of mine. I had always wanted to go to a comic convention. It's always something I wanted to do. And so I figured if I was going to do it, go full. Don't, don't shoot half mass. If you
go
will.
big or go home.
Yeah,
Right?
go big or go home.
which I did the opposite.
That's true.
I went street clothes the first couple of years.
Yeah, but I decided I was gonna go full jumpsuit and the bit and bang, and went down to Steel City Con in Pittsburgh, 2016, and kept running into folks also dressed as Ghostbusters. And I just thought it was kind of cool. It was just like, oh, cool. It's nice to meet other fans. But I kept getting asked the question, who are you with? Who are you with? Didn't understand what they meant by that until finally someone said, well, you do know that there's groups out there, right? Franchises. And here come to find out, it's a big thing all across the nation and worldwide. Fan groups coming together, combining the love of Ghostbusters with the want to do positive things in their community. And when I started poking around and realizing that there was this void where we were at because we're in the rural part of Pennsylvania.
This days, you can say it.
Yeah, it's true. North of Pittsburgh, south of Buffalo,
Right.
east of Cleveland.
Yeah.
I was like, this might be something worth looking into. And I talked to these guys about it, and they were on board. And now here we are, 2.5 years later.
So what really happened was after he figured out all that, he came to me with this wide-eyed look in his face of, "Do you want to be in a Ghostbuster group with me?" I said, "Jason, I have no idea what you're speaking about, but yeah, sure, let's do it."
Yeah.
And it spiraled out of control from there to, oh man, the premiere of Afterlife, I think.
Yeah.
That was our first outing.
My first outing, and then
No, it was Afterlife. I did one trunk or treat beforehand as kind of like a test kind of thing, but
I showed up late to the premiere of Afterlife. And imagine my surprise when I see not only Justin, Jason, Michael, but some other random guy at our theater dressed up in full Ghostbusters. Like, who is that? What is going on here?
And here it was, Bill had reached out to us before we had even established ourselves or had managed to do anything with ourselves. We've got this guy in our DMs, just sliding into our DMs, asking about what we were about, and told him that we were going to be there. And he was like, "If it's okay with you guys, I'd like to show up." And I talked to these guys, and they were like, "I mean, yeah." And he
talked to me. Oh, imagine my surprise.
And next thing we knew, he was coming to all the conventions and whatnot. He was kind of like a little lost puppy in a way. We kind of adopted him.
I was just excited that there were other people in the area that were Ghostbusters.
Right,
fans.
yeah.
Like, I'm all alone. No one here beside me.
And then to add a further link to the story, as I looked at his name tag, it said DeVilliger, but there is no way. So I looked him straight in the eye and said, "Is your brother Carl?" And sure enough, that's my brother. And I've known Carl for 30 years.
I've known him longer.
Oh. I'm gonna do that early. Okay, fine. I'll concede that point.
So explain about, you mentioned there's other franchises and things like that. So explain, I think I talked with you about this at some point, but there is actually a documentary out there that kind of delves into this world of the Ghostbuster franchise and how far it's spread
internationally.
But explain a little bit about what a Ghostbuster franchise means for those who may not be familiar.
That's a fair question. Honestly, there are a few documentaries I'm aware of. And I know of a few fans that are talking about potentially doing a new one, which that would be interesting. But the long and short of it is their teams, usually they name themselves after the city they're in or something about that city. Like shout out to the Steel City team down in Pittsburgh. They're close friends of ours, as well as the Buffalo team up north. They come together, they find out, oh, hey, we're Ghostbusters fans, and we love everything about them, and like cartoons, movies, it doesn't matter what it is. And eventually, they start going to Comic-Cons, conventions, things like that. And then from there, it kind of spirals into, well, we're already kind of halfway doing this gig. What else can we do? And I know the guys down in Steel, for example, they do everything from their St. Patty's Day parade, which is a tradition of theirs, to visiting children's hospitals. They have an annual Toys for Tots event that's been really popular. Buffalo, they're all over the place. I know they do a lot with Toys for Tots as well. And they're also known as the group that heads a fundraiser for the Hook and Ladder 8, which is the firehouse in Tribeca. It is an actual functional firehouse. A lot of people are surprised to hear that, but it is an active firehouse that they essentially rent out for all the exterior shots. And they've been raising funds for the past 3 years for that firehouse. It started initially with a desire to replace their Ghostbusters sign and then donate the remnants to the firehouse for whatever they needed. And then Spencer is very passionate about the the new project.
Yes. Their new project that they finally were able to get the funding for. This the third year was in 2023, and it finally raised. They cleared 25,000.
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
close to 28.
20-some $1,000. They were able to put that money towards a memorial transport van in name of their lieutenant who has passed away on 9/11. So it's a very special van in that regard, but it also what it does, they provide free medical transport to 9/11 first responders, their families, whatever medical appointments in the city, in the New York State area. They are provided that for free, all because of this madness. I mean,
Yeah. All because people feel a connection to that building
Yes.
and really what it represents from a societal perspective, right? I mean, I would say it's probably fair to say that most people, if you showed them just an exterior of that building, right? Oh yeah, I know that, right?
The building itself is popular, and the firefighters there, they're pretty gracious about it. I mean, most of them they're firefighters in New York City, so I mean, good with the bad, but largely, Nick DeVetto. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think I read his name earlier, but Nick DeVetto, the lieutenant out there, the current lieutenant out there, he is, super on board with. If it gets interaction, it gets people in the doors, seeing what we do, interest in the community, like that is just super special.
Well, and not only being just interested in the community, but an interest in wanting to help the community too. I'm sure is, people walk in that door and what can I do, right?
Money's always good,
Yeah.
$20 get you an awesome T-shirt of theirs.
Yeah.
Hats.
And that's part of what being a franchise is too, right? I mean, it's not like you guys just sit around and put your jumpsuits on and talk about Ghostbusters, right? I mean, obviously,
I'm open to the idea.
Yeah.
I'm not against the idea.
But I mean, for example, right? We were just out at the premiere of Frozen Empire, and you guys were there in full regalia and
Silver Star Cinema.
Yeah, and making appearances like that, and it's got to be interesting to see, the kids, especially when they come upon you.
The kids
somewhere
love
like
us.
that.
The kids love us.
Yeah, that's the best part of it. It's making the kids' day and having fun, just letting them see the stuff and go wide-eyed. It's great.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's
even adults.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, as we've seen at the premiere, we finally, in pretty short order, considering how young of a franchise we are, we have the establishment of a vehicle, which several groups, they go years, almost better part of 10 years before they have something put together. And just the madness of this thing coming all together. Like, if people have seen it driving around town in various stages, but once we got the vinyls put on, people get it.
Yeah.
Like that's the car.
Right.
As Bill said, it's the most iconic one in cinema. And, it has seeing, grown ass men just Ghostbusters.
Right. Yeah.
Just that is.
Do you get a lot of people like rubbernecking you when you drive by? Like, what in the world?
Oh yeah.
We were working on the car this past weekend, and we had no less than 6 vehicles pull over and asking us various questions while we're just out there trying to fumble our way through this installation or that thing we're trying to make work. Or
You'd be amazed at what that car doesn't have.
Yeah.
we had to figure out rear seats, door handles, the partition, just
a work in progress.
It's all
Well, it's a refitted hearse, right?
Yeah.
So
it's
it's
legit. We picked it up from a funeral home, and even the funeral director there was kind of like, "Wait, what are you doing?"
It was a full service hearse when we got it.
Tell them your goal for the car.
Oh yes, that was also the goal. Was hearses are traditionally seen as they are the end of the line for some people. That is the last ride people take. It's a very somber, it's a very serious, heavy emotions, and for that car was in 27 years of service. It's like, we're turning it around. Like, this is a sad car, we're making it a happy car now. And I will be darned if that doesn't happen. I had someone a couple weeks ago, there was a convertible. They had the top down. They were blaring the Ghostbusters theme. They asked me, that's the goal.
I mean, that's got to be somewhere down the line. You got to put some kind of on replay, just blaring the theme as you're driving around.
I have it on a playlist.
Yeah, so between that and the iconic siren, right? It's got to have some kind of
that's
Yeah.
the next big step.
And that's the thing. It's kind of, and bring it kind of full circle and back to the original question. It's amazing to see kids' reactions to the stuff that we largely aren't running off a script.
Yeah.
We're largely just kind of going with it. I mean, for as much content and lore as exists out there, there's plenty of stuff that's been left up to interpretation. And when you get asked questions that you never in your life expected to be asked, like how does the proton pack work? You get to come up with some very unique answers. Actually, for Halloween, we were with, what was the troop number, Bill? Or excuse me, the
Troop
cub
and
number.
Pack 8.
Pack 8.
Yes.
We did a presentation for Pack 8, and I gave them an entire 20-minute presentation on how a proton pack works. And to top it all off, of course, equipment failure. Didn't light up, didn't do the things that I needed it to do.
We had others there.
7-year-olds have never been more excited about quantum mechanics. Never.
which you
loved
learn
it.
just for conversation, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a unilateral phase detractor. It's fine.
And the reactions that we got afterward, like I was sitting there thinking, like, that was a jumbled up mess. And they're just coming up, just like looking at things. And, of course, some of the models, they can be pulled apart. So there's pieces sitting out and they're poking and touching and like, what does this do? Or how does that work? And just the curiosity and the fascination, not only from the adults, which by its own right is fun and entertaining, but from the kids and the next generation is just so fun.
But that's the message that we're sending these kids is that science and teamwork can overcome any obstacle. There's nothing out there that's so scary that science and teamwork cannot overcome that.
And you shouldn't be afraid to join a group and have some fun and help people.
100%.
Because when we were growing up, nobody did this stuff.
Well, there was. I did some research on this actually. Believe it or not, there was a group of Mad Lads in 1987, the OGs in Southern California. So almost since day one.
But, I mean, even us growing up then, if you dressed up like that, everybody was poking at you and wondering what you were doing. And now it's more accepted. And,
Well, and how much? I mean, obviously adults are going to be kind of familiar when they see you walking down. It's just but how much have the two most recent films kind of helped bridge that generation gap with some of the younger kids that now when they fully understand, hey, I know that guy's a Ghostbuster.
Surprisingly, even before Frozen Empire, I don't know how much influence Afterlife had, but like little kids in the neighborhood, they know exactly what it is. Like you know this?
my 4-year-old daughter, she's obsessed. She runs around the house with a proton pack all the time.
I cannot imagine.
Yeah, but without my stuff, my stuff gets put away because I don't want the kids playing with it. But,
you won't want your kids hanging around with a nuclear reactor on their back?
Really, blowing holes in the ceiling, it makes a mess.
Is that going to be on record?
Yeah.
No.
Only licensed nuclear accelerators are used.
Yes.
But so then explain a little bit. I mean, obviously we talked about the movie premieres and that's kind of a given natural place for you guys to show up. I know I've seen you around at some of the other events throughout the county, but how do you determine, hey, we're going to show up and be Ghostbusters this day and kind of do our thing? Do people reach out to you? How does that all work?
Well, I mean, it varies on a few different factors. Our first event ever was Warren Pride in 2022, which to a lot of people would probably be very surprising. But it was a combination of a lot of different factors. Boy, Bill. One thing was, it was something that I had always wanted to do and support. Everybody at this table is no stranger to the LGBTQ community, even if they're not directly a part of it. I've had friends and family members that are a part of it. I know Bill has family that's in it. Spencer and Justin have both had friends in the community as well. And especially at the during 2022, there was kind of like the beginning rumblings of a little bit of misfound hatred and whatnot toward that community, and I wanted to change that, at least in some small way. I wanted to give back to that community and bring a little bit of joy and fun to things. And actually, kind of to that point, I noticed one of your previous guests mentioned that there needs to be more good, is a direct quote from her. And I cannot agree with that enough. Ghostbusters 2, for as much flack as that movie has gotten over the years, and for the record, it's not a perfect film. It's not. But its main message really was just positivity and being understanding and accepting of one another, and that was where it all started. So we started with Pride, and from there it became simply a matter of, do we feel that we can make a positive impact in this in some way, and do we feel that we're a good fit? Because there's going to be times and instances where maybe one or the other is correct, but not both. You don't want to be driving a hearse to a viewing event for a family member or a loved one. That's going to come off a little crass. But yeah, that really is the sum of it, and it's not from a business perspective. It's from making sure that we're not going to hinder the good that's being done there. We don't want to take away from the meaning or the purpose of the event. One that it ended up falling through anyway, but we got reached out by a drug and alcohol abuse clinic that they do a family event every year, and they're like, it's a real somber time, so we would really appreciate having a little levity there. And it was something I really had to mull over, because I fully support the topic at hand,
right?
But are we going to be a detractant? Are we going to be a distraction? So that's a lot of what goes into that thought process.
Well, and it seems, you guys talk about this is a franchise that shows a group of people coming together and working as a team and overcoming things, and it seems like you guys kind of debuting, as it were, at Pride is almost a natural fit, where you're at an event where it's, hey, everybody needs to come together for the greater good, goes right into that message.
It's such a great event, and everybody has a blast. It's one of the high points of our year.
Yep. And now is it official? Are we allowed to say our involvement for this year in particular, or is it still?
Are we getting a scoop right now? I think we're getting a scoop right now. Sounds like a scoop. Let's go.
Come on. It sounds like we will be back for the costume contest, but not in the way that we were last year.
Okay.
And I hope everything comes together, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think that's going to be absolutely what's the next logical step for this.
Breaking news, you heard it here first. Ghostbusters back at Pride this year, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, to see you guys come down for the costume contest, and and again, it was just one of those things, like that music hit, and instantly everybody knew what was coming.
You were the first one that was approached, weren't you?
Yeah, there's like, do you want to do the costume contest? I was like, wait, what?
She kept asking me too.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a costume on. Sure. Who we talking? Wait, what?
There's going to be some fun shenanigans this year.
Yeah.
And they kept asking me. They keep telling us they want us to be in the costume contest. They want us to be in the costume contest. And I was like, it's a costume contest. We're in full regalia.
Right. We're dressed for work. I don't know.
Yeah.
Which
you can see, there's video of this on yourdailylocal.com. If you go check out last year's Pride story, you can see video of them in the costume contest. So.
Yep, absolutely. Still, some of my favorite photos and videos are from that moment, and so many people have found us just from the footage and photos of that event. It's hilarious. But yeah, I was conflicted. I was like, we're not here to win a contest, but they were so emphatic about having us do it that I was like, all right, if the people that are putting this on want us to do it, all right, let's go ahead. And I'm so glad they talked me into it because it was so much fun. And yeah, I'm definitely excited that we're going back. I'm definitely hopeful that everything that we're in the talks with them will end up coming through. Because that's
So this year we are not going to be in the judging. We're not in the contest itself.
Okay.
But you want to show up for this because we've got some shenanigans planned.
All right. So talk about costumes a little bit. I mean, this is not, you can't go, up to your local Walmart and pull a Ghostbusters jumpsuit off the rack, right? I mean, so
Actually, you'd be surprised.
depending on the year and whether or not Spirit Halloween has taken over the building.
Oh, yeah.
but I mean, how much of a hunt do you kind of did you have to kind of go on to find the right fit and get everything put together so that it was as authentic as it could possibly be?
So the gear is largely pieced together. We find some things one place, other things in a different place, and each of us is wearing a slightly different jumpsuit. Some of us are military, some of us are trade. They all fit the pattern of the Ghostbusters 1984 jumpsuit. But bits and pieces of it are pulled from all over the place. And that's half the fun is getting your gear together.
The justification that Bill over here put in my mind, which that I ran with, was Ghostbusters canonically is 40 years old. That's 40 years that this technology has been available to individual groups. So you're going to have the variances. You're going to have the little intricate details of why exactly do you carry this piece of gear? And it seems like, so that gives you the freedom that, for example, on my pack, I have a piece of rope and I have a dust mask. Attics are dusty. Ghosts are in the attic.
Right.
You never know you're going to need rope. One thing you really need the rope for.
Yeah.
So
it's the same. Yep. Exactly.
So,
that's exactly where I went with that.
So it's like those little fun details, and now that that's out there, everyone knows it. So I got to come up with something else. But
I always like to think of it as we are our own franchise. So we're working, we have our own gear for what suits us in our environment.
Right.
And that's the other thing too, is that like all of us are wearing slightly different jumpsuits, throwers, proton packs. All of our equipment is all piecemeal from our various findings, comfort levels.
Even that you and I have the same pack,
Right.
but they're different.
Yes.
We have upgraded and modded in different directions. So they are the same, but they're not.
Yep. And sometimes
same,
it's
but
from an
different.
aesthetic choice. Sometimes it's a functionality choice. And you'll find, especially if you go to events and whatnot, like the Ghostbusters Day Hook and Ladder on June 8th this year, you will find some of the craziest.
the flux
The
capacitor.
flux
packs.
capacitor
Yes.
pack.
There was a guy, I wish I would have met him, but he had built a flux capacitor from
That's
Back to
awesome.
the Future. Oh,
Talk
amazing.
about your crossover.
Right,
That
yeah.
was-
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Two, if you go to a Comic-Con, when people dress up as a superhero, they're emulating that hero. But in the Ghostbusters franchise, the name tag on our uniform doesn't say Stantz or Venkman.
Right.
It says DeVilliger, or it says Kushner, or McCracken or Hawley. It's so personal. And that's kind of what I love about it too.
Well, and I mean, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but I feel like there's been scenes in the movies where they've shown multiple jumpsuits in a locker or whatever, and the name tags are removable.
Yeah.
Right. And it seems like that's kind of the whole point, is that, like you were saying, it's not a superhero, right? It's not Thor, right? Where only one person can be Thor. This is the kind of hero where it appeals, there can be anybody who decides to put the jumpsuit on.
The big joke is that it's a custodial job, exterminating and cleaning up the paranormal. I mean, we are in glorified jumpers for a janitorial position, or something along those means, with glorified vacuum packs, cleaning up the paranormal. That was Dan Aykroyd's big gag for the original design, and that's I mean, everybody's just taken it and ran with it in so many different ways.
Nuclear
Yeah.
vacuum packs that our children do not play with.
For the record, a second time, in case you weren't here a few minutes ago, for the record, children do not play with the nuclear accelerator.
They are fully licensed, EPA, DOT.
Both of mine are
DNR,
honorary
yeah.
Ghostbusters. It's fine.
Oh, so you guys have patched things up with the EPA then after that incident?
We were always on good terms of it. Like they,
Always.
Oh yeah, totally.
Always on terms.
They came around. They said, "Yeah, your 16A49 form." Yes, we do.
Was that before or after you gave him the big Twinkie?
I refuse to answer that question.
And what,
Smart.
shoot,
No comment is a comment. Is it?
one of the other things, you guys were mentioning about, the packs are individualized and the throwers are individualized. And because I'm kind of a nerd myself, immediately in my head, I'm thinking, this sounds an awful lot like, some of my friends have talked about with like Star Wars and lightsabers, right? Like it's the concept is that the components are the same, but they're individualized to that specific person.
Absolutely.
The creative freedom that you have. So you have like any sort of fan-based media, you have your core rules that are established, how the technology works and what it does. Much more than that, anything that you come up with or you can justify as, it leaves that open-endedness that you can put little bits and bobs on the back, like, oh, this is a different accelerator charge total or something like that. Like just those little fun things that if anyone's looking, like especially a fan, like, oh, what's that? How'd you do that? What is that?
And not only that, just from a purely, zoomed out viewpoint, just the fun of it. Who wants to literally, don't get me wrong, there are definitely those out there who very much want to do everything by the book.
Yeah.
And much to their credit, if that's fun for you, awesome. But there's so much potential to just take the idea and run with it. I've seen some of the coolest designs. Like we said, there was the Back to the Future pack. I've seen people make father-daughter pack combos where dad's wearing his pack and his little girl is wearing her My Little Pony or Hello Kitty themed pack that he has 3D printed and painted for his, his little one. I've seen St. Patty's themed, and not just Ghostbusters, but like, Stormtroopers and Jedi and
Green Stormtrooper.
Oh man, so many different different things out there. Just the ideas that people come up with. Why wouldn't you want to take the time to do something like that, especially if you're going to, make somebody smile or make someone's day? And I think that's probably why we still go to cons, despite the fact they're cramped and crowded and quite frankly can be very exhausting. It's just so much fun to just be in that element. And to folks out there who have kids who have asked or have wanted, I urge you to at least consider it. Go with them. Definitely go with them.
Good ones.
Because it's not all about comic books.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when I talk to them, they're like, "Well, I don't like comic books." I can tell you, we go to big cons and there's maybe 3 booths for comic books. It's not all comic books. There's toys and action figures and Star Wars,
culture,
and
sci-fi, fantasy,
fan art, and oh man!
And then to see the other costumes at we keep bringing up Steel City because that's
our primary.
That's
our primary con. We've ventured to others. And we're
Buffalo
still
was
looking
really
around.
good, and they had some impressive costumes.
Indeed,
I think Krampus last year was probably
Krampus was
Remember,
fun.
Groot
Groot
and Soundwave.
There was an actual, oh my gosh, Soundwave.
Soundwave looked like you walked right out of the movie.
Like
he was just there.
We're talking someone who managed to put together a Transformers outfit complete with some manner of stilts.
Yeah.
Something along those
So
lines.
did Groot. Groot was like 8 feet tall.
This Soundwave was like almost 10 feet tall,
Yeah.
just walking around.
Yeah.
And it was so cool.
Yeah.
so good.
And I've seen even non franchise themed things. Like I've seen someone made an entire outfit, a dragon, with aluminum scales. They took aluminum recycling and made aluminum scales for the totality of the suit.
Yeah.
Which, for the record, our suits between the packs and the belts and the jumpers, probably about 50 pounds. It's not fun. His is less because
Yeah.
his is a different manufacturer. But
Well, you see, I'm
between-
a firefighter, so I'm used to that. Jason, you got to,
between 20 and 50 pounds.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that must have been.
aluminum tabs. I mean,
Yeah.
barely, bigger
Right.
than a 50-cent piece.
Mm.
Thousands of them
Mhm.
down the tail, the back, the headpiece. Like,
Still think my favorite to this day was Red Skull.
Red Skull. Oh man, I don't know
Missed
who
that
did
one,
that
yeah.
mask, but it was impeccable.
They had the cigarette on the stick and everything. Look at you walk clean out of the movie. You just
Yeah.
came to con.
I don't think he could talk. Either that or
Yeah.
he was really in character.
Yeah.
But because it was super tight on his
Yeah.
face, you could tell. So
Yeah.
there's probably a good chance that it's all aesthetic and no functionality.
Just breathing was probably a bit of a struggle. But to kind of bring it back locally again, what are some things that you guys are looking at maybe out on the horizon of
Absolutely.
of places to go, causes that you want to help? What are some things that we can look forward to from you?
I specifically made sure to bring a copy of our
All
flyer.
right.
Well, actually, it's their flyer, and I just kind of tacked us on because I was passing it around.
Oh yes.
But our next event after an upcoming con is going to be
tomorrow.
Johnson's Transportation. They're celebrating 100 years.
I don't know if you can see that, but lots of stuff going on there. And congratulations again to Johnson Transportation for 100 years in business. I mean,
Yeah,
that's phenomenal.
Especially in this region. That is
Yeah.
so cool. They're going to be doing all sorts of stuff. It looks like prizes, giveaways, vendors, food, petting zoos, plenty of stuff for the kids.
Fill the bus event.
The fill a bus event for local food banks and taking on. I haven't seen specifically what they're doing to draw in funds for Make-A-Wish, but they're also raising funds for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Sounds like somebody who's putting this on, their family has recently had a wish fulfilled, and they are looking to return that kindness, that was all I needed to hear.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard that, I was like, you got room for a hearse?
Funny
we'll-
story. Connie, the notary, she's the one that actually did all the notary and the title transfer on the vehicle, on it.
Yeah.
So she knew that we had it, and she
Yeah.
knew that we were these mad lads that were doing this. So
now are we gonna have a little drag race between your car and one of the buses from Johnson Transportation, or
no, but that's a good idea. Maybe we talk to state police, see if they can shut down Section 6. That'd be really fun. Oh man.
If I got to drive the bus.
but that's
All right.
That's on Saturday, May 4th from noon to 5 out at Johnson Transportation. You guys will be there, and sounds like there's going to be a lot of good stuff going on, and a lot of it for a great cause.
Absolutely. And after that, out of town, we're going to be back with Buffalo and teams nationwide for the hook and ladder the first week of June. But then the following week after that is the this year's Pride event. So we'll be back to Pride again this year. A lot of people don't realize this. They all think, it's Halloween. Halloween's busy season. Month of June.
Yes.
Month of June for Ghostbusters. That is once the 4th of July is over, we'll be sleeping peacefully for a little bit.
Now, so are we going to see the Ghostbusters in the 4th of July parade here?
I haven't gotten an update yet, but we did for the first time file with the parade committee.
All right.
So for the first year, we might very well be in the parade, and I hope so. I've not done the parade since I was a junior volunteer for Pleasant. So it'd be nice to do the parade again. It's been a long time.
What's that, about 1982?
First of all, I was born in '86, so that's just painful.
You're just finishing grad school, right?
I think probably 99 or 2000 were probably the last time I was actually in the parade.
Yeah.
So it's been a hot minute.
So 4th of July committee, if any of you are out there watching, get these guys signed up, get them in the parade. We definitely want to see them as part of the 4th of July parade festivities, and maybe see you guys hang out down at Betts for some of those festivities as well. And
quite potentially.
You're gonna have the car there too.
Yeah.
Which is the best part, because everyone's super stoked to see the cars.
Yeah.
Yes.
And So if people want to contact you, want to reach out, best way to do that
is currently our Facebook still. We are in the process of trying to branch out and whatnot. We're also the Ghostbuster community at large is starting to put together a website that is actually a kind of like a directory of sorts. I believe the URL is going to be or is whoyougonnacall.org.
appropriate.
Yep. And the whole idea there is that if you're looking to have your local Ghostbusters perform not necessarily paranormal investigation and eliminations, but maybe something along the lines of a charity or something along those lines, it'll help you find teams within your area. So eventually we'll be on there. Facebook.
We are. They updated it. We're on there.
Okay, fair enough. I know it's still kind of like in a beta phase. So Facebook.com/NorthPA Ghostbusters, NorthPA Ghostbusters @gmail.com. I swear one of these days I will make an Instagram for us. That's kind of where we're at there.
And so if somebody were to want to join the group, just reach out to you through Facebook or email right now and let you know. And what would that process be? You know, say, hey, if I showed up tomorrow and say, hey, I want to be a Ghostbuster, what is that process? What do you have to go through?
Well, we're still kind of in the process of refining our application process. We actually have our first new applicant in a while that we're actually putting through everything. It varies by group, but I've been taking a lot of advice from, again, Buffalo and Steel. Shout out to those guys, especially Dan and David. You guys know who you are. If you guys managed to see this, thank you guys for always putting up with my ridiculous questions. But typically, it's you let us know you're interested. We let you know when we're able to take on new recruits. And usually there's a bit of a vetting process we're trying to get established right now that all members will have state and safety clearances.
Right.
Make sure that everything's on the up
Be
and
around
up.
kids.
Yeah.
We technically are a volunteer organization, so we want to make sure that we have those bases covered.
Right.
Again, being from the firefighter side of it, North Warren VFD. Shout out to you guys for Department, Warren County. Warren County's great. We want to make sure that we put the public at large, like, oh yeah, you're gonna have any supervision of kids.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are a lot of hoops to jump through. We want to make sure that we jump through every single one of them.
Yep.
Because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. That's a factor, and then typically it's a matter of meeting the group, kind of doing an initial vibe check, followed by a couple events out in the field as kind of a test run, see how things go, see how the interaction with folks is, because it's a lot of public interaction, and it's definitely not for everybody.
Right.
I myself,
you got to be willing to shake hands and kiss babies, right? But just to be around people and be engaging.
Have your picture taken.
Right.
That's another adjustment to get used to. Yes.
And you're going to get questions you don't want to answer.
Yeah,
A lot.
Especially for someone like me who, as much as I enjoy doing what we do, I am what I call an extroverted introvert. I love engaging and interacting with people, but then especially the more significant or the more energy that is put forth into it, it is equally that much time afterward that is like a recuperating phase, which is real difficult in June.
Right.
But so it's not for everybody. And we want to make sure that, when you're out there, it's, the positive vibes are coming from both ends. People love interacting with you, and you're getting along with people as you interact. There's definitely a process in place that we're refining, but is more or less adopted from other more established teams. Steel's 15 years. And I think Buffalo's nearing 10, if not crossed the 10-year threshold. So we've got some great older brothers, as it were.
We got some work to do.
Well, I don't want to keep you then from getting to that work. it's a great thing that you guys are doing. And I know anytime I see you guys out and about, people are having a lot of fun. I've had people ask me after they've seen some of the things on the site, hey, who are these guys? What are they doing? So appreciate very much you guys sitting down with us, taking some time. Appreciate everything you guys are doing for the community. Like you said, sometimes just a little bit of levity is just needed. And
really is.
And now we know in Warren County, if we need a little bit of levity, we need some fun, we need some guys to come out and have a good time, we know who we're going to call, right?
That's right.
So
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No job is too big. No fee is too big.
fantastic.
A few days a week. Awesome. 24 hours a day, 7 days. We'll talk.
But just, we're ready to believe you.
All right, guys. With that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you again so much. North PA Ghostbusters. You can find them on Facebook, facebook.com/North PA Ghostbusters. North PA Ghostbusters at gmail.com is the email address. Check these guys out. They're fantastic. And again, thank you guys so much for taking some time. That'll do it for this week's edition of Coffee in a Conversation presented by White Cane Coffee with the North PA Ghostbusters. This is Brian Hagberg saying thank you so much for watching, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You know what would make that better? A cup of White Cane coffee.
Wow, that really is great coffee.
White Cane coffee, because every cup makes a difference.
Here at Casella, we make temporary dumpster rental easy, offering services that are perfect for construction, remodeling, special events, or other short-term projects. Casella dumpsters are available in a wide range of sizes to fit any job. Our dedicated customer service team will help you choose the right size container and service level for your project and schedule hassle-free removal based on your specific needs. The right size dumpster, when you want it, where you want it, removed when you say so.